Hello, my name is Francisco de la Paz, and this is my presentation for my final project for a technological device that addresses a specific medical condition. This is the Neurowave patch. It's a it's it's a device that helps people like me with my migraine problems. I have atypical problems, and most devices are for neurotypical devices. Okay, I live with chronic migraines since the mid 90s. I have a couple of TBIs, served a number of TBIs. The doctors can't figure out why I have migraines, and I've tried all kinds of treatments. I requested a vagus nerve stimulator, but the VA says no. I don't conduct electricity properly with doing EEGs and ENG testing. So this is, it's something that I need, but I was never given. Right? A chronic migraine, TBI. 1 in 7 people are affected by migraines. 57% of veterans report having chronic headaches after TBIs. 4 million people meet the criteria for chronic migraines. And me personally, I've suffered for over 30 years. Here are some definitions. 30 years and I've tried every option. I've tried pharmaceuticals, whether pills, injections, sublinguals. The pills that I try, either they don't work or they make other things worse, or the side effects are terrible. I've tried TENS and STEM units, but I don't conduct electricity properly. We've tried psychology and biofeedback, like visualization, letting things go. Heart math doesn't work. I've tried a Cephali, which is a newer device that you wear on your forehead. It also works with TENS, but again, it assumes that my electricity works properly. The VNS is the major nerve that runs through the body that can block pain signals, but it's like a pacemaker, and I think it's like $150,000, and the VA won't do it. I've tried Eastern medicine, acupuncture, myofascial release also. Right? Temporary relief doesn't really work for me. This is why every electrical device fails. Basically, I've mentioned it doesn't. My nerves do not work normally. So TENS won't work, Softly won't work. And AI models that they use now, they're based on neurotypical or normal nerve electricity conducting patterns, which does not apply to me. So the Neurowave, what it is, it's basically going to be a unit that will test your body, so that way it will find the paths of electricity that do work in your body, and then use those paths to transmit signals that don't normally get passed correctly because other pathways or routes are broken. I thought about this because in the military, I would scout routes. If one route didn't work, I would have to find alternatives. Your GPS does the same thing. If there's a roadblock, it finds you a alternate route. So basically, this will find alternate routes for conducting the electricity. It will have an AI engine attached to it that will learn these routes that you think, see how long they're good for the actual user, not on the general population. And then taking that information, it will do stimulate the proper nerves to get the right signals to the right places, even though it's using different rollways. And there will be an app where everything can be tracked and also give feedback to the doctors. Basically, you have a handheld device, you have the same type of arrays that TensPads uses. Going to use a particular type of microchip for machine language and programming the AI. It has to be made with medical grade silicone, and the electronics has to be able to produce calibrated electric impulses, so that way you're not over or under simulating. It needs to be able to have communicate with your phone through Bluetooth or NFC, and also needs to meet HIPAA controls, so it has to have on-device privacy, and since it's all local and doesn't send out anything over the internet, that accomplishes that. So again, basically what we're going to do is going to map the pathways that work. Read the signs that come before the migraines happen, right? And again, it's reading signs from the particular patient. It keeps tracks of it and logs it, and so that way it learns you better and learns the body better, so that way it can predict it better. Then it takes that information and then in a sense it learns what it needs to send through the particular paths to reach the destinations, and then it sends the right amount of electricity or the right impulse. Also, it learns from the impulses, so if it does not work, it receives kickback, feedback, or anything like that. It can go back into the recycle, back into the beginning, and then next time it recalibrates, rebuilds, relearns, so that way it can be targeted better. And the intelligence layer, again, it maps and takes a log of the pathways that work. It makes a log of what's happening before the migraine. It sends the information out, or can export the information out to the doctors in the VA, so then that way they can treat other patients, right? And since the AI is on board, there's no cloud transference of information. This is how it changes everything. This is what makes a difference. It's designed for atypical, not neurotypical physiology. Is based upon the person. For myself, who suffered a number of TBIs and doesn't conduct electricity, it does not work. I do not respond to typical treatments, right? And since the AI is treated on me and not on the population, it's better suited to me. I don't have to take any drugs with it, so it doesn't cause any of those pharmaceutical side effects. By learning what's happening to the body before it happens, it can take action before it happens, not after it happens. Always it'd be, I get a migraine, have to take a pill, or I take a pill and I be in a state of fogginess or zombified, and a migraine may not ever happen on that day. It generates concrete information that doctors can use for future studies and to help target other sufferers of migraines that have TWI, Gulf War syndrome, all these different things that makes them atypical. While veterans are a smaller part of the population in the United States, right? we a lot of the focus is not towards veterans in medical future medical device building or considerations and stuff like that. So it helps serve veterans and other people like me. Here's specs. Goes behind the ears, still uses 6-point electrical, right? It uses for skin conductors, thermistors. There's the electronics behind it, the chip behind it, the science. It measures conductivity by doing electrical sweeps through the skin. It shows in the unit, it shows the waveform or the shape of the impulse that it's going. Uses a lithium battery, makes it waterproof, so you have to use it in the rain and water. This is a AI model built in for the specific patient, right? And it's always updating itself and relearning, right? You have to make sure that it gets approved by FDA if you want to go 510, and you also have to make it's HIPAA compliant with the encryption and to provide the doctor's medical information. All right, so here is the competitive landscape. These are things, TENS units, Cephally, Neurowave. I haven't tried the Neurowave, but I've done TENS unit and Cephally, and I'm not doing medications on here. I'm only doing things that work with electrical impulses. As you can see, right, all across, right, it works with atypical. None of them does. This one will. Conducts mapping or routing the pathways. None of them do. This will. AI learning. None of them do. This will. Built specifically for the patient, the learning, the language model, learning machine. Okay, none of them have it. This will, right? Adaptive simulation parameters means that you can change or increase levels of impulse. TENS unit is set patterns. Cephally, you can adjust it somewhat and it learns somewhat. The review, I don't have the information. All of them, none of them take drugs, and the Cephally they can download from a unit when it's used and how it's used. Okay, from prototype to patient, first 6 months, building the electronics, the science, the PC board, mapping, 3D printing an enclosure, learning, conducting a study with TBI patients that would need, an approval trial, other veterans, training the AI model, right? Building a beta app in months 19 through 30. Submit for funding through the FDA. Seeing if it can get FDA approval, and then in the 31st to 36 months, look at doing to the VA in their formulary and a clinical launch, and seeing if we can get insurance to reimburse. This is something that I need. So everything was built from my ideas, my understanding on how different testings have been, different things, things that have tried to get things to work and still continue suffering, right? So the concept invention is by me. The product, the technical design is mine. Research and clinical grounding is all based upon personal experience. And the presentation and visual design, my color schemes, my narrative, everything from beginning to end. Thank you for your time. This concludes my presentation. All right, for 30 years, the systems failed me, so I'm going to try to build what they can. Right, it says Neurowave patch is not a generic medical device concept. It is a direct response for a specific gap. Patients with TBI, Gulf War syndrome, atypical neuroconductivity, who have exhausted every available option and have been left without one. The technology exists, the design rationale is good. What remains is somebody to build it, and I'm going to try to build it. Thank you.